Thank you, choir. Hard work. Linda putting up with us and getting this music together. Yeah, today we're going to be turning in our Bibles to Luke the 14th. Luke the 14th chapter, verses 7 through 11, if you'd like to turn to that. There it is for us. We'll find another one of those great parables that Jesus told. There are parables and there are parables. Most of them we think of as a story. This particular one is not a story. It's not something that Jesus made up. It's something he observed. But it's truly a parable because it is a comparison. And it has to be understood figuratively. And what it means, what people's actions mean. And this is particularly true in this scripture. As I was thinking of this, I had some pictures. Let me see if you recognize these folks. Do you know who this is? Tariq and Michelle Salasi. This is the couple that crashed the state dinner at the White House. The Indian premier, the premier of India was in town, and they were having this big dinner. And this couple just kind of showed up and walked in with the group. And they actually got inside. Pretty amazing, don't you think? Here they are, they're walking across after they come in the entrance, they're coming across the marble floor, and there's people everywhere taking pictures because they're recording this. I don't know, do they sell them when you're at the White House? Is it like that's an amusement park that they take a picture and you can buy it? I don't know. Maybe they give you at the White House. They're a pretty generous bunch up there. So they're walking across the room, and here's Michelle, joshing the Marines, and you know how fun they are, Marines. And but they seem to really be taken, And here they are with smiling Joe Biden. If he would just do that more, I think things would go smoother in Washington. But here he is. He's obviously happy to see him. He doesn't know who in the world they are. He did. But he acts like he knows them. They act like he knows him. They act like he knows them. You know what I mean. So there they are. You're talking to the person. Shaking his hand, got both hands on his hand, and he just smiles. I don't know, it must be a canned smile. But there it is. Here they are. What nerve, don't you think? Is that a lot of nerve just to barge your way in? I mean, it's bad going to someplace where you're not invited, but to the White House with the premier of India there. America has had some trouble with assassinations and plots of that kind, but it's nothing compared to what India has suffered. And their institutional memory goes back 3,000 years. There's been assassination and war all this time. They're very security conscious because of the diversity of their country, the competing interests that are there. And when they got out of the White House and find out what had happened, there were a lot of really serious questions asked. These could have been serious political problems for our nation. And this couple just decided to show. Why? That's a good question. One thing that was mentioned is that they hoped to make enough splash that it would get them into the public limelight. She wanted to be on Real Housewives. The reality show, Real Housewives, all this stage drama and stuff. And she at least got a look at it, and maybe an episode or two. And Tariq, get this, he decided to run for governor of the state of Virginia as a Republican. Fortunately for the Republicans, came up that he still owed a limo service about $36,000. So that kind of put him in a bad light. So now he's trying to run as an independent. So there you are. But this was their springboard. This is how they were going to promote themselves. That's how they were going to get their toe in the door of fame and fortune in their future to make their way. They're looking for that bit of notoriety. You know something? This is such human nature. Nothing has changed in 2,000 years since Christ lived. And the years before that, everybody seems to be trying to push their way in, to claim more for themselves than they have a right to. Luke, the 14th chapter, 7 through 11, you'll recognize this as I read it. When he noticed how the guests picked the places of honor at the table, he told them this parable. Jesus told them this parable. When someone invites you to a wedding feast, do not take the place of honor for a person more distinguished than you may have been invited. If so, the host who invited both of you will come and say to you, give this person your seat. Then, humiliated, you will be taken to the least important place. But when you are invited, take the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he will say to you, friend, move up to a better place. Then you will be honored in the presence of all the other guests. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. We live in a world of pushing people, and it runs rampant like a virus among us. Even to us as we were children, as I was thinking about seating, I remember a seating issue I had when we were young. My folks had a Chevy Impala, late 50s, early 60s. It was white, had red seats in the interior, and the seats were covered by this pebbly plastic. Don't get a stain on the seats covering, which was not real comfortable. But there it was. They didn't ask me about it at all. And by this time, all four of them, Mom and Dad had all four of us kids. So the seating arrangement was like this. Dad always drove. Mom rode shotgun. And because Doug was the youngest, he sat between them in the front, or sometimes he stood because he could see out the window. Don't freak out. Nobody thought about that in those days. Who did worry about? Nobody was even in their mind. They used to have a little booster seat. Have you seen it? It was a little bag with leg holes, and it hooked over the back. It's like a baby launcher. If you have a wreck, honest, nobody thought about it. There you go. So Doug was sitting there, Mom, Dad, and Doug in the middle, and on my right was my older brother Steve. That's the right side door and window. And on the left was my sister Tammy. She had the left side door and window. Which used to burn me up because I had that middle seat. Now, a lot of you kids have never ridden in a car with a rear-wheel drive. Rear-wheel drive. The problem with the rear-wheel drive is the drive shaft has to go someplace. It goes right down the middle of the car, right under the middle seat in the back of the car. It's called sitting on the hump. There's just not as much padding there. And let me tell you, my little mind, not even a flat place to sit here. Doug can see out the front. Steve can see out the right. Tammy can see out the left. Granted, it's Beaver County. Not a lot to see. But seeing was important to me. And I was always in the middle. And I hated it. I hated it. Why couldn't I have it? See, we're like that, aren't we? It's always something about what I have compared to what somebody else has. Like Michelle and Teresa. All these people have fame. Boy, I would like to have a slice of that. You know what I could do with a little bit of fame? Wouldn't it make my life good? What am I willing to do to get it? Break the law, endanger political relationships for our nation, cause all sorts of trouble. We believe that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, don't we? That if you claim to push yourself hard enough, you're going to get what it is that you want. And we see a lot of evidence for that, don't we? People push themselves into situations by being forceful and forward, even if they don't really deserve it, and just making their way, no matter what it costs the society that's around them. But Jesus came teaching that we should be willing to take the cheap seats, to take the second place, trusting that God is going to make a way for us. The Slockies look to catapult themselves into the public eye, become stars and famous, and maybe even get elected to something. But Jesus said, relax, trust me, and all will be good. Don't be lazy. He doesn't say be lazy. He doesn't say don't do your best or work for what you need. He says, don't be overbearing and too pushy. Have some humility. Have some humility. Be willing to take the second place, the tough job, the low place. There is a certain amount of sorrow in this word humility. We don't really like that word, do we? Because it means, not taking the honored place. But we all have a reason to be humble. For the weakness of our bodies are frail. They're going to last just a few years, and then they're going to be gone. We have to realize we're not the eternal being that the world should revolve around. And in this vast universe, we may have just guessing. Maybe he's right, maybe he's not. The scientists are still divided. But we see ourselves. We want to put ourselves forward. We ought to be humble because we're aware of our own sin. Not angry at others for what they've done, but aware of what we have done and who we are. That would make us different the way we behave with one another. It certainly would be different. So we find that God blesses us in spite of our failures. The God of the universe has called us out to be His people, to be part of His kingdom, to do His work. He has given us meaningful tasks to do and purposes that He has given to us because we're fitted to them. So we don't demand, we don't engineer, because we trust God. James tells us, God opposes the proud, but He gives favor to the humble. That's His promise to us. That's His promise. Not our promise to ourselves, but His promise to us. I think the key for us is this idea of being a guest. If you're a guest, you need to act like you're a guest. You behave in a certain way. It's become fashionable for restaurants and hotels to call people their guest. Be our guest. It sounds so friendly. It has a home feeling. It projects a feeling or an image of personal attachment and personal care that they want to give out so that it makes people want to come back again. It's no sales pitch. It certainly is. Let you be our guest. We want to attract. But the truth is, they're exchanging services for money. That's what's going on here. It is a business. Services for money. And that relationship is different. A guest comes to the house of their inviter and receives what that person has prepared. Fancy or plain. Great quantities or small quantities. And when you're a guest, you're to act a certain way, as you're part of it. If you are a payer, then you can be demanding. If it's a transaction, it's very different things. So it is key for us, as those who are called out, who are guests of God in His Word, in His world, that is, that we should act as a guest. Humility of one who's being given something and blessed by it. It's not as if we've earned something